July 1942. Under the cover of night, a convoy of 18 jeeps snakes its way through the harsh terrain of the North African desert. Leading the group is Major David Sterling, at the head of the British Special Forces, on a daring mission to strike a vital German airfield over 230 miles northwest of Cairo, deep in enemy territory. Though Sterling trusts his men, a knot of tension sits in his gut.
Where's the airfield? It should be right here.
Then suddenly the darkness is broken by a blaze of lights. For a heartbeat, Sterling fears they've been discovered. But the sound of an airplane engine slicing through the silence reveals the truth. A Luftwaffe aircraft is about to land right at their objective. On Sterling's left, two of the SAS's finest, Captain Patty May.
Ah, she's a beautiful sight, sir.
And Lieutenant Carol Mather steady themselves. To his right, French SAS troops prepare for the fight, their leader, aspirant André Zernheld, watching for the go-ahead.
Time to go to work, boys.
Weapons. Each jeep is fitted with twin Vickers K303 machine guns, mounted both front and rear. Once everyone signals they're in position, Sterling gives the word.
Who dares wins?
Engines roar to life. The jeeps surge forward, kicking up sand as they charge toward the target. At roughly 800 meters from the airfield, the formation tightens into a clean battle line. Sterling in the center, Zernheld and the others flanking him. Later, Commando Stephen Hastings, who was there that night, recalled.
First, one tentative burst, then the full-on chaos of 68 machine guns blasting away.
The recoil shakes the jeeps as the gunners unleash streams of bullets. The twin Vickers fire at 1,000 rounds per minute, an astonishing 34,000 bullets flooding the airfield every 60 seconds, shredding any aircraft they strike. To the Germans, it's a storm of fire and fury. Tracer rounds, red and white, tear through the darkness, setting planes ablaze and ripping into anything in their path. One German Ju-52 caught mid-landing, spots the tracer fire but has no time to abort. Forced to touch down, the plane hits the runway just before German defenders kill the lights, plunging the airfield back into darkness. The gunfire ceases, but the assault is far from over. Sterling raises a flare gun and fires. The green glow arcs above, casting an eerie light across the desert. Forward, he commands, and the jeeps surge onto the airfield. At the front, Sterling leads the way, with Zernheld close behind. Their vehicles fan out into two columns, each separated by roughly 15 feet, forming the sharp point of a deadly spear. As they race down the runway, the commandos open fire on the German aircraft waiting helplessly in their sights. Stuka dive bombers are torn apart in seconds. Then they shift their fire to the parked Messerschmitt Bf 109 seconds. Nothing is spared. Ju 88 seconds, Bf 110 seconds, Ju 52 transports. Some of the Luftwaffe's most prized machines are turned into burning wrecks in moments. The German personnel on the ground are overwhelmed. Caught unprepared, many freeze in shock. A few try to take cover beneath the planes, an act of desperation that proves fatal. The Ju-52 crew, freshly landed, scrambles to cut their lights and engines, hoping to go unnoticed in the chaos. The jeeps slow to a crawl, rolling forward at barely over 2 miles per hour, just enough to keep moving while staying accurate with their weapon. They continue down the runway, undisturbed, leaving wreckage and flame in their wake. The Ju-52 and its crew are swept up in the carnage. At the far end of the runway, the convoy swings onto the taxiway, where more targets await. Sterling signals a brief stop to confirm that all jeeps are still with him. Once satisfied, he gives the command to press forward, and the destruction continues. But the short pause gives German troops a chance to recover. Scrambling for weapons, a few defenders take up position near a 20mm Breda anti-aircraft cannon and grab several mortars. One shouts urgently,
If we don't stop them, all is lost.
Whistles through the air, then crashes down near the heart of the jeep column, nearly striking Zernheld and his team. Seconds later, the Breda gun and other weapons unleash a fierce barrage. Tracers and shrapnel slice the air. The British commandos duck low in their vehicles as the formation comes under heavy fire. One gunner, Trooper John Robson, is struck, slumping lifelessly over his machine gun. The Breda gun must be silenced. Sterling turns to his gunner, Sergeant Johnny Cooper. Cooper spins the gun toward the threat just as a round from the Breda slams into Sterling's Jeep, tearing through the frame, missing his legs by inches. The vehicle jolts and stops.
Why won't it go?
Sterling shouts as bullets continue to fly all around.
We've lost the engine, comes the shout.
Another Jeep pulls alongside to help. It's Robson's. Sterling climbs aboard, only to be struck by a grim sight. The young soldier lies motionless in the back, what's left of his head resting against the gun he manned just moments ago. Go, Sterling orders. The new vehicle rejoins the assault, which is still pouring relentless fire into the German position. Mortar shells continue to land, shaking the earth and sending shards of metal flying through the air. But the SAS press on, undeterred. Their fire rips into the enemy crews. The German gunners at the Breda cannon and the mortar teams are cut down one after another, while the remaining defenders break and run, abandoning their posts in fear. As the Jeeps reach the far end of the taxiway, Sterling leans on the horn, signaling a halt. The vehicles circle around him, engines idling. He stands up and shouts,
"Switch!"
One by one, the engines go silent. A strange stillness settles over the battlefield, broken only by the crackling of flames. What once was a Luftwaffe airfield now burns like a funeral pyre, lighting the night with flickering orange.
Everyone okay? Sterling called. Yeah, come the answers from around him.
Robson was their only loss.
How much ammo have you got left? Half a drum. 1 drum. 2 drums.
There's still plenty, enough for one final sweep.
Right. One more pass through this side of the dispersal zone, then we pull out. And keep your eyes open for any more of those damn Breda guns.
Engines roar back to life. The column moves out, passing smoldering heaps of wreckage, planes reduced to rubble and fire. Among the wrecks, they spot a single Bf-109 that somehow survived untouched. Without hesitation, they open fire, reducing it to scrap. Then Sterling raises his flare gun once more and fires into the night. This time it's red, the signal to retreat. The mission is complete, or so it seems. Under the red haze, Captain Paddy Mayne spots something the others missed. A Ju-52 transport still intact among the ruins. Without saying a word, he leaps from his Jeep. "Paddy!" Someone yells, but he's already sprinting, a bomb in hand. He plants it on the wing of the transport, turns and bolts back toward the group.
"Come on, let's go!"
he shouts, diving back into his Jeep. As the team makes ready to pull out, the Ju-52 erupts in a fiery explosion, just as the SAS vehicles vanish into the darkness. Though the airfield lies in ruins, the danger isn't over. The Germans will surely scramble aircraft to hunt them down. Anticipating the response, the men split into 4 groups, each taking separate escape routes across the desert. One of those groups is under the command of Lieutenant Carol Mather. They drive through the long night. When dawn begins to break over the horizon, they steer their Jeeps into dense brush for cover. Hungry and exhausted, they decide to cook a quick breakfast. The sizzle of sausages and bubbling water fills the air until a sudden voice cuts through. "Aircraft," someone calls out. A German dive bomber passes overhead. The men freeze, sweat beads on their foreheads as the plane circles. But then, nothing. The bomber moves on without noticing them. The soldiers exhale and return to. Their relief doesn't last. One plane turns into 2, then 3. Eyes scanning the skies, Mather murmurs under his breath.
"It's like a swarm of angry bees."
Then, louder, "Take cover." The men dive into the bushes, flattening themselves against the earth. Across the open plain, the French detachment is in a more vulnerable spot. They find minimal shelter beneath a low ridge. but it's far from safe. A low rumble builds in the sky. Zernheld narrows his eyes at the incoming formation. "Don't move," he warns sharply. Everyone stays perfectly still as 4 German Stukas descend, unmistakably locked onto their position. "Take cover," someone cries, and chaos erupts. The air is shredded by machine gun fire. Sand blasts into the soldiers' faces as bullets rip through the earth around them. It's a hellish barrage. Elsewhere, Sterling's group has stopped to bury Trooper John Robson. With no enemy aircraft in sight, they take the time to hold a solemn makeshift funeral. They mark the grave with a cross fashioned from scrap tin. The silence is heavy, reverent. Then, an engine. They all look up. Another Stuka. It passes overhead, but doesn't spot them. A close call. Back at the French camp, the attack seems to have passed. Miraculously, it looks like everyone survived the initial assault. Then the Stukas return, making several more bombing runs before finally pulling away, their payloads exhausted. When the dust settles, the only sounds are the wind and the strained breathing of survivors. Francois Martin, second in command, stumbles into view. Around him lies wreckage, 2 of their 3 jeeps destroyed and 1 man not moving. It's a scene of devastation. And it's not over yet. It's Zernheld. He's been hit, once in the stomach, once in the shoulder. His teammates lift him gently into the last remaining jeep and take off across the desert, pushing the engine as hard as it will go. As night falls, Mather's group presses on. The men are sun-scorched, parched, and worn thin, but they're still on their feet. They reach the rendezvous point without incident. Not long after, Paddy Main's unit rolls in as well, having encountered little resistance. Sterling's team, however, is still somewhere in the desert, battling not Germans, but the land itself. A jeep throws a tire, forcing the crew to abandon it and cram into another. The pace slows painfully. Even worse, the terrain offers no familiar signs. Every dune, every rise looks like the last. Supplies are dwindling, water, fuel, and hope all running short. Desperate, they risk moving during daylight. The blazing heat is punishing, and it only leads them deeper into confusion. Sterling scans the vast, empty horizon, wrestling with doubt. The navigator insists they're on course. They just have to keep going. The sun beats down mercilessly as they drive through the afternoon, the scenery stubbornly unchanged. Then, suddenly, they reach a towering escarpment, a sheer cliff blocking their path. The navigator leaps out and scrambles to the edge. He peers down, and his expression changes instantly. There, at the base, are British jeeps parked in formation, the rendezvous point. He spins around, waving both arms.
"We made it!"
After 2 grueling days in the desert, Sterling's group finally arrives at the hiding place on July 29th. But there's no joy waiting for them. Out in the open sands, the French group races toward the same destination. Martin does his best to tend to Zernheld, but the wounds are too severe. The color drains from Zernheld's face, his breathing shallow and rapid, his pulse fading. As the rendezvous nears, Martin can only watch helplessly. Zernheld senses what's coming. He reaches for Martin and, with fading strength, pulls him close.
"I am going to leave you," he whispers. "I am at peace."
Those are his final words. He dies before they reach safety. In the weeks that followed, David Sterling was honored for his leadership and valor, receiving both the Distinguished Service Order and appointment to the Order of the British Empire. The unit he created, L Detachment, would soon bear a new name, the Special Air Service. While sorting through Zernheld's belongings, Martin found a handwritten poem. It would become a lasting symbol of his courage. Today, it is known as the Paratrooper's Prayer, the official poem of the French Airborne Forces.